district, is primarily Caucasian, you know, and so it's not really conducive for me to really try to understand these things. But I'm doing these things for a personal reason because I do genuinely care. So, anyways,
Jameson, read Dr. Darity's book From Here to Equality. That will give you a good foundation to kind of start looking at the reparations question, because we didn't get our taxes raised for COVID relief. So you just need to have a better understanding about it's not a personal debt to you. It's a debt that the United States government owes for its hand in legalizing slavery and all of the
Okay,
other
okay, okay,
atrocities.
okay. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. I gotta
Sorry.
keep something. I gotta keep order. I gotta keep order. Look, there's gonna be plenty of time to have this stuff, and Jameson speaks like a redneck because he speaks slow as rock. So
thanks, I
don't take
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah, no problem. I got you, Jameson. Jameson is also very calculated in what he says. To be fair, he's running against Dan Crenshaw because Dan Crenshaw is a piece of shit, and that's coming from one Republican to another. And so Jameson tries to really think out his answer so he comes off a little more prepped because, well, it kind of is sometimes. He doesn't shoot from the hip as much as I do, so don't take that as disingenuous when he's saying these things.
We can't all be as talented as you, man.
Oh, whatever. Shut your mouth. We've been having these talks a lot lately about this stuff, especially since the Sir Major space with him and Re-Ups with Shukri. So anyway, all right, Jameson, appreciate it, man. Let's go. I'm going to go Cognitive and then Cookie, and then I'll go from there.
What's up, everybody? Great space. To the host and co-host. My only comment is, that one lady that came up earlier, that Kelly lady, that's in, I forgot. I guess she's in Texas or whatever. Um, we're I'm tired of hearing different people say that we need to pull ourselves off our bootstraps. We do that daily in America. Less people like that claim that they're Black American, I think we can do a whole lot better as a whole. That's all I gotta say, and thank you.
Cog made it quick and to the point. I appreciate you coming up here, Cog. I think that's the first time I've heard you speak. All right, let's go. Let's go, Cookie. What you got, Cookie?
Hey, great space. I can share a quick story of why spaces like this, is very important. So, I am medically retired from law enforcement after 20 years. Um, uh, my family's law enforcement. We're all public service in one capacity or another. But anyway, my last agency, I was in um, some incidents that I needed to finally go get some help for myself. So I did. I went out to this place, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Um, and when I was out there, there was a fella, and I'll never forget him. His name is D. He was here. He is a black male that was from LA. He works at one of the homeless shelters down there, lives there. Anyway, his dad taught him to hate police. He hated police. He taught his kids to hate the police, and so forth. But in these breakout groups we had, he was in with several officers um, during these things. So we during our talks and stuff, he made some comments. One of the comments was is that he never knew that we cared about what we did and we cared about people. That's not never how he viewed it. He talked about his incidents, run-ins with the police, and I never saw that side of what he had to go through. Fast forwarding towards the end of this event, you were asked to pick battle buddies, and that's somebody you can call 2, 3 in the morning, whatever, email, phone, somebody that will drop what they're doing and come and see you or whatever needs to be done. But this guy, for whatever, and this blew me away. He picked me, a white officer. Well, I was retired by now, but a white officer to be his battle buddy, somebody he would call, somebody that grew up hating the police, But because of these conversations we had in these groups and our one-on-one conversations, I saw a whole other side of people. He saw a whole other side of people, and we were battle buddies. So he could call me anytime, day or night, and I'm there for him. And it was so profound to me. I still, this is almost this is a little over 5 years ago now. And when this space started, this is the first thing I thought about was D, and just how much of impact he had on me as a person, and as an officer, but also what he came away with thinking of us. So these spaces are great. We got to talk about this stuff. We've got to work together. There isn't one solution, but we are all human, and we have to be better. We've got to follow. We got to be decent to people no matter what. But I just thought that story to me fit this discussion, just from my thoughts. So thanks.
Appreciate it, Cookie. All right. Oh God, I'm trying to keep order here and where things are at. So let's go. Good God, let's go, Lawrence, I guess.
Awesome, appreciate it. Shout out to Reverend Tim. Thanks for hosting space, Aaron, also, and Michael. Shout out to Rhea. My name is Lawrence. I am a producer of a pretty big theatrical musical inspired by police brutality called Children of Origin. You can see on my page. I'm also a real estate investor, and I'm currently in the process of opening a barber shop. And I come from a family that has experienced the dark side of the Black experience and major, major, major successes as well. Federal judges to big rap stars. And I don't say that to be braggadocious. I say that to let you know that I am a Black man who acknowledges racism and white supremacy despite the exposure that have experienced in my life, and still had to fight through it, and been taught all about it growing up. That being said, the United States, as we know it, is the greatest monopoly board in the world. Launched into its successes by the slaves that built it. And the slaves were released into this already going monopoly game where everyone was given $1,600 at start to play. But the slaves weren't given that $1,600 on this system. This is why white people have a privilege and an inheritance of a 200 plus year advantage over the Black counterpart in this country, that it breaks it down. It is also why you have systematic racism, because we come from a racist background on this monopoly board. So we have to acknowledge that. And if this land is your land, and if this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, it is made for you and me, then we must acknowledge the fact that America is our community. The title says race, community, and uncomfortable truths. America is our common unity. Therefore, it must be one. We have to be made whole and made equal. So that $1,600 from the start of the go must be given to the Black descendants of slaves to be considered equal, if the idea of America is to be where we're going. So with that, I want to come down to the part, until you walk the footsteps of others and learn the things that you never knew. You cannot judge where people are because you're not in their shoes when it comes to racism and police brutality. But never forget that Black people were released into a developed nation that they built and not given anything to start. This is why you have all the disparities that you have. So we must be made whole in this country. You have to give that $1,500 to start, because we had to land on go. We had to land on go to jail. We had to land on property. Everything that you see on the monopoly board, and we didn't have the tools to play. And still, we have rise to where we are right now. That's why I said what I said about my experience coming through that.
Seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. And as I land, I acknowledge that I would be a tremendous level further with what I have and have done if I had an equal hand that my Caucasian counterparts in this country does. So make us whole. We must all join together. If we believe in the idea of America, and we must make Black people whole. I land on that.
All right, thanks, Lawrence. Don't lie.
Hey, can we get let Deborah speak?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Deborah, we'll go to Deborah. Yeah, that's fine. Deborah was waiting, and then I'll go to you. Don't lie in a minute.
Thank you. God give me the correct words to say. I've heard a lot of things that have really upset me. I have 13 grandchildren. 5 of those grandchildren are Black. My son-in-law is Black. My father's best friend growing up, I'm 66. My father's best friend growing up was Black. My karate teacher was Black. I lived in a predominantly Black neighborhood when my children were little. And the little Black kids ran around calling each other the N-word. But they got upset when a little white kid would repeat what they were saying to each other's. Bottom line is, my family gets along. White, Black, indifferent. Some is Democrat, some is Republican. We get along. Find common ground, for God's sake. I love art. Do you love art? Let's find some common ground and get to know each other on a respectful level as to who we are as human beings. My ancestral chart goes back to indentured servants from Ireland. We were slaves too, but nobody owes me anything because of that. I am a single mom, a single grandma. I have been single most of my life. My children are a product of my mistakes, but I have.
Well, you should have got wiped up first.
I have 13
We're not going to do that.
No,
we're not. Y'all can
wait a minute.
Else,
no,
not here, man. Come on.
No, we need common ground. We need respect. We have respect. I respect all of you guys for who you are. I do. I understand. I do understand. But please don't bash me because I'm white. Don't shut me down for my opinion, because I honestly do believe this can be brought together, and God is bigger than all of us. And that is not patronizing. That is not saying anybody is any less. I would help anybody. I would die protecting your children like I would die protecting my own. I help send Black children to school, educate them, because their families won't. Now, I'm angry. I don't like what I'm hearing. You want to hear both sides? Then listen to both sides. But don't hang on to the anger and hate, because that's not going to get anybody anywhere. It's not. It's only going to cause more division. And we don't need to be divided right now. We need to be standing together as one people. We all bleed red in the end anyway. We're all going to go to the same place, and we're all going to be held accountable to the same God. This isn't about color. It's about human respect. And if I give you respect, then I ask for respect in return. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm not saying that because I'm prejudiced, because I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I've dated a Black man before. I'm not. I wasn't raised like that. But that's basically all I have to say. And God forgive me if I have offended you. I'm sorry if I have, but somebody had to say it.
Let me follow Debbie, Aaron. I got this. And I'm going to say this here. One of the things that we talked about coming in here is people are going to hear certain things that they don't like. And that's what this is all about. Now, all these people sat here and listened to everything everybody else talked about, white supremacy, and y'all got to do this and y'all got to do that. This lady come up here putting herself out there because this is one of the reasons why white people don't talk in these spaces, because we get into them and then we start doing this here. But then I go into everybody else. I go into this one dude's space who to me is a racist, and he's letting them go off on us like crazy. Let them say what they got to say here. And if you don't like what I got to say, go find your own space, because the only thing y'all usually do is fight each other in them spaces. We're trying to do something nice here to let people open up, right? So thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you just said. And you don't have to apologize to no damn body, period. So who's next? Let's roll.
Next is, let's see, let's go Patriot Space. I'm not sure. So I'm going to go that, and then we'll go around from there.
Yeah, I want to make a more nuanced point, and I'm not really going to take a side in this discussion. I'll just say that the problem is a lot more systemic than people understand, and it might just sadly be unsolvable. Whether we do reparations or not, it might not fix anything, and that's a world that we also have to plan for as well. So I want to go through with you a brief history of how we got to where we are today. Right, Civil War happened. It resulted in the emancipation of the slaves. They hopped on trains, which were the only mode of transportation back then, and the trains took them to the cities, right? Some still live in the rural areas. I'm looking at a Pew Research Center here on my computer right now, and only 18% of African Americans last year said that they live in rural communities. Everyone else, 81%, said that they live in the cities or the direct suburbs. So off of the conclusion there that, they're all in the cities at this point. So come the 1950s, after all of that took place, Henry Ford he revolutionized sort of the automobile industry, which removed a lot of the need for cities. And since that time, cities have just had a giant sucking sound of jobs and hope and optimism and opportunity. I mean, they've just been flushing ever since. But the African Americans who ended up there after the Civil War never left. They're going down with the ship right now. And that is the unfortunate geographic reality that is destroying the quality of life right now. The money's leaving, but they're still left behind. And so until we address that problem, we can throw endless amounts of money at this. It's not going to solve anything. We have to look at this root cause, and that gets me to the second half of my point. If you want to really know the future of America, you have to look at its population demographics. I recommend going to populationpyramid.net. You pull up the United States and you'll see immediately that our population pyramid isn't a pyramid. We just had the smallest generation of children in our nation's history. We have a population collapse coming on our horizon, and it's going to take what happened to Detroit, right? Everybody fled Detroit. Cities were empty, dilapidated, catching on fire. The city lost huge sums of its tax base, and it just started crumbling. Absolutely. I'm wrapping it up. And so that process is about to be replicated in every city in the country as the boomers resign and start to pass away. So that's the problem we have: demographic decline and geographic obstacles.
Let me just throw in there real quick. It's called redlining. But who's next?
Well, we had a whole bunch of one way, and now we're finally getting a bunch of the other way. So I was trying to balance it, but I think there was about an hour of one-sidedness. So let's do Don't Lie, Jonathan, and then I'm going to bounce over to let Re-Ups get another comment in, and no taxation and black majority.
Hey, Aaron, you know me, so I'll probably talk really fast because I have a hell of a lot to say. Geez, so much. So somebody said that white people should call out racism, and I agree. If you see it, say something about it. If it's a safe situation, obviously, if I'm in a train station and I see something happening and there's 50 of them and one of me, I'm probably not going to say something. But I don't understand why Black people can't call it out too. Okay, just call it out. If you see your friends or the people that you're with and they start doing some dumb shit, call it out. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Then you have the other thing, reparations. I don't understand. I didn't own slaves. And I hear a lot of people say, well, that's no excuse because the government owes. Well, going after the government is going after tax dollars, and that's all of our money. That's not the money of the people, the plantation owners and the people back in the day of slavery, the people that benefited off Black slavery. They're not paying that. People of today are paying that. And the people of today don't have slaves. So at what point do we say this happened and it was shitty and fucked up, but we need to talk about today? Stop living on, well, my grandmother and my great grandmother. My mother is an immigrant. My father was a drug addict. I come from South fucking Philly, Tasker Projects. It's not even there anymore. Cops would not come. Ambulance would not come to my neighborhood. I was one of like 5 little white kids, and I learned to fight because I got beat up all the time because I was the minority. So I don't want to hear any bullshit about how we're all oppressed and, it's because of the color of our skin and we can't do better. It's choices. It's the choices that you make. If you're going to live a life where you're just going to wallow in shit, then you're going to stay in the shit. But if you make choices, you're going to do better. You're going to do the hard work. You're going to take the steps that you need to take. Then you'll do better. I got out of the city, came up here to the woods, the Redneckville, and went to work in a state prison. 26 years. I retired as a lieutenant. First female lieutenant in that prison ever because I worked for it. I was on the first responder team because I worked for it. 450 officers. I was the 6th female hired, but I worked for it. So this whole thing,
30 seconds.
I got you, but this whole thing about all the oppression and it's all about it's economics and we don't have opportunity and, we can't participate. I think I'm calling it out as bullshit. Because maybe if that's how it was in the 60s and even into the 70s, but I'm no young kid. I put my years in, and it has not been like that for many a long time. So that was my piece. I want to call out the bullshit, start talking about the reality. Nobody talks about Black on Black crime. Nobody talks about fatherless homes. Nobody talks about having tons of kids by 10 different fathers.
All right,
come on.
you're going over time.
I was waiting for it.
No. I got this real. Whatever. Thank you very much for your comment. We appreciate what you have to say. And let's move forward. Here we go. We're not going to attack her. Well, hold on.
Yeah,
We're not going to attack her for her thoughts. That's just the way she thinks. Find a way to recounter that, but do not attack her. Thank
you. Yep. By the way, since we do have the room, let's make that clear too. Again, this is not to attack people. Everybody's going to get to say their piece, hear their side of it, understand where people are coming from. This is not a shit show in here. You want to be a shit show, you want to be an asshat, then we'll just remove you from the space. So, yes, sir, Major. You saw what I said. All right. Anyway, all right. Listen, I'm going to go to Jonathan, and then I'm going to go over to Re-Ups again, and then I'm going to go up to Javon.
When do I get to speak?
Never.
I'm trying to give counter narratives a little bit, so I'm not going necessarily in order. I'm trying to bounce a few things. So remember, there was about an hour of nothing but about the Black community coming after white people. So let's be fair. And Reverend Tim said if we get some people to finally talk, we'll give them the chance. So we're giving them some chances here to make up some time here in this discussion. So, Jonathan, you know how to unmute?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, got you, man. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, my name is Jonathan McCullough. I'm the founder of Urban Conservatives of America. out of Houston, Texas. And I just want to say that I'm not going to be but a few seconds. I just want to say this, and this is personal, okay? I don't have a problem with racism. I grew up with a black family and a black community. I'm 57 years old. I don't have a problem with racism. I don't understand. Here's the problem with racism. We can't stop talking about it. I understand what happened 200 years ago, but at the end of the day, when do we understand that things that have been done must be forgiven and we must move forward? And the lady that just got off the phone, she made a valid point. One thing we have to do, we have to learn to self-reflect. Nothing happens until you change. We cannot demand other people to change and we don't change. It doesn't work like that. Nature doesn't work like that. You have to examine yourself. And that is something that I had to do, is examine myself. Then I understand where my problems lie. My problems lie within. I've made a ton of mistakes. Everything that she's saying, I have children for 3 different women. Okay, I'm married now, thank God. But my point is, we cannot embrace a culture that is not conducive to success and blame those that do not embrace that culture for the reason of our unsuccess. Now I'm gone. I'll continue listening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. God bless.
Thanks, Jonathan. I haven't talked to you in a while since I ran, so good to hear you again. Look, I want to say one thing about this before we go any further. If you're a Christian, and if you're not a Christian, you can ignore this. But if you're a Christian, forgiveness is not for the other people. Forgiveness is supposed to be for you. You are to forgive to clear you so that your heart can understand where you are, to live in content with the world, and to not keep that burden and that hate in your heart. That is what forgiveness is for. If you don't learn to forgive other people, then you cannot learn to forgive for the purpose of that, then you don't expect anybody else to forgive you. That's the problem. We have what he just said. We have to be willing to accept our own responsibilities, our own mistakes in life, forgive people for the things that have happened, and move on to make a better way, to show the love to other people and show that forgiveness, because at all points, all of us have needed forgiveness in this world. So you can't be the hypocrite. You can't say you're a Christian and not believe in forgiveness. So that's all I want to say about that. And God, Christians need to work on it a lot. So, all right, Re-Ups, I'm going to give you your second chance. What you got?
All right. Well, to the young woman's point down there, right? I'm sorry you grew up in Philly with other poor whites that you had to fight, right? We got to start being a little bit more honest. And to Jonathan, it's not the rest of the black community's fault that you chose to have 3 baby mothers, right? I came from different, right? I grew up in a middle class neighborhood, went to great schools, continuing education, business owner, right? I say a good amount of black community has that. Still goes back to economics and systemic policy. I'm hearing a lot of feelings on here, right? This is business, right? The amount of money we spend on illegal immigration, the money we shipped over to Ukraine, the money, the $55 billion, quote unquote, you just gave to Africa. I mean, come on now, tighten up. I'm hearing no complaints about that. I haven't heard complaints about the money we're giving to Israel and for those reparations, right? I'm not hearing anything about any pushback against the Japanese reparations. I'm just hearing a lot about feelings, and you growing up with these token black people like Jonathan who want to make race and the conversation of race more palatable for you white people, and which majority of times those black people that you're around and have in your families, they're not being honest with you about race, right? They don't even feel comfortable enough. It's just a conversation we're going to put over here because I don't want to make them feel some type of way. Miss me on that, right? It's a debt that's owed, right? You give no pushback for a lot of the bullshit that these senators push through, a lot that you benefit from. But when it comes to a debt that's owed, right? It's about an inheritance that we helped build that we weren't able to tap into. Those GI bills, that Homestead Act, right? The precision, white supremacy and the policy, right, that tore up our communities. That's what we're talking about. So the $1 million worth of whiteness that the other man said, right, that he doesn't have, well, he does have it, right? Because as to me, my homes are not getting appraised the same, right? I'm not, or when I do get that loan, right, it's a different interest rate, right? It's a lot. It's different that I could push in, which goes back to representation, like Shukri here, who we held the room with. You have people that look like us, that walk along this racial conservatism, right? That used to be quote unquote a Dixiecrat. They just moved over to the Republicans. So I mean, it sounds good, but let's keep this on business and not feelings, right? Or the feelings of I'm hurt and I have racism, correct? Is controlling where someone goes to school, their banking, and their home, right? No one in the black community controls that.
You got 30 seconds.
Hello, can I still speak? Can I reply to that?
I may be a little like we all have prejudices and implicit biases, but don't get it confused with racism.
Okay, just because you made a direct comment about his children and his marriage, I'm going to let him respond. So that was personal, so I'm going to give him a chance.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Go.
Okay, great. Well, I'm not trying to make a situation palatable for white people. I know better than that, okay? I'm talking from my experience, and I'm dealing with reality. I'm not dealing with emotion. You see, the problem when we try to solve it is we're dealing with reasoning versus emotion. I'm being real. I gave you a testimony, my friend. Now, there is nothing more powerful than a testimony. I'm telling you. In fact, I can go a little further. I was on drugs for 21 years. I bought drugs from black people in the black community. No, it's not their fault. It's not their fault, but I saw a whole lot. I saw where the heart was. I saw what my heart was. But I had to discover myself. Who am I? Before I was delivered. I don't want reparations. I don't need reparations. You cannot solve a tangible problem with, you cannot solve
with
a tangible problem. No, absolutely not. You cannot solve a tangible problem. You can only solve a tangible problem with that which is untangible. You can't solve a physical, there is no physical solution to a spiritual problem. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. You can get, somebody said earlier, you can give a whole lot of money, but we don't know if we're going to solve. Absolutely not. We're not going to solve the problem. Because the problem is not on the outside, it's the inside. When are we going to self-reflect? Are we going to raise our children to say, hey, you are owed something? Well, if you raise your children with that mentality that they are owed something, they will live their life the same way. And that is captivity, my friend. We live in the greatest country in the world. Yes, our ancestors built it with their hands, but somebody had the imagination. You understand what I'm saying? So who are we giving credit to? The people that built it physically or those that had the imagination? Let's just keep it 100 and get out our feelings. Now, you can ask for the money all you want. That's fine. I don't want it. I don't want it because I know who my savior is. I know that a man cannot solve my problem. And that's what makes me conservative. And this idea that the Dixiecrats are now Republicans, my friend, anybody that encourages your women to kill their babies, that's your enemy. I'm gone.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Jonathan.
Appreciate that.
Tim,
hey, let's lay off the personal attacks. Let's lay off the personal attacks, right? I mean, we look, I'm not here for that. I'm not. So, somebody say something, you feel some way about it, mumble it in your hand, and let's keep moving. Here we go.
Yeah, that's the only reason I let that response happen, too, because it did get personal, and we weren't supposed to be going personal. And I don't want it to get it going any further than that. All right, let's do this. Let's go no taxation, and then I'm going to go to Javon, and then I'm going to come down to Black and Cece.
Thank you, Aaron. I never saw your account before, so that's interesting. And the space is interesting. And hi, Rev, how you doing? And all my usual suspects in here. Hello to everybody in the room. A woman named Deborah came on and said she was 66. Well, I got Deborah beat by 1 year. I'm 67. Okay. I was born in segregation. And then I went through desegregation, and now it looks like segregation again. And I call that the 50-year loop. And that's something that my elderly and aging family members have taught me. Some are passed. My mother is still here. She's 90 years old. God bless her. Every 50 years, the country gets turned back to what it used to be for Black people. That's what we're going through again. I think this generation is trying to break that loop. and it needs to be broken. And that's why reparations is so important. I'm not going to speak on reparations because I'm not that qualified to say it, but I will say that there are some plans out there by some economists that have more to do with systems than it does with money. And I suggest that everybody go out there, find somebody, follow them, see where the information is and get that, because that's important information. I will say this, uh, with my work, I know that the word reparations for Black Americans in this country is on every politician's tongue and has been for a few years now on both sides of the aisle. And I can say that for a fact because that's where my work is on Capitol Hill. Now, I want to read you something, and I'm just going to be real quick. Every day, I'm standing outside trying to sing my way in. We are hungry, please let us in. We are hungry, please let us in. After about a week, that song is going to change to, we hungry, we need some food. After 2-3 weeks, it's like, give me the food or I'm breaking down the door. After a year, you're just like, I'm picking the lock, coming through the door blasting. That was written by Tupac Shakur. That's where we are in this country with Black America. Black Americans are fed up and we're done. There was a big push for the dim exit some years ago during the last 4 years of the Obama administration. I'm finding more and more Black conservatives, of which I have been all my life. And I was raised in a Black conservative household. My father was one of the 100 Black Republicans, so I have the history. I understand what conservatism is. And I say to the new Black Republicans and the ones that think they're doing politics in conservatism, if you're not talking about Black economics, you're not doing Black Republicanism. You're not doing conservatism properly, because there's the biggest single difference between the Republicans and the Democrats is how they spend money and how they make money and how they give out money. And so Republicans are about business. And so that is one reason why Martin Luther King went to the mall and said, cut the check. And that needs to happen. But that's not what reparations really is. That's just catching us up, you see. I want to say this about where we are in this country and how I feel.
30 seconds.
Racism is not a Black people's problem. It's a white people's problem. The affects of racism is a Black people's problem. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Hey, Tim, I don't know if you saw my message. Can you run hands for a minute? I can. Okay. I need to show scene on my screen. So, all right, I got to take a break. I'm listening, but I need to do something.
I dig you. I think Javon was next, right?
Yeah, it was me next. What's up? What's up, y'all? To the familiar face in the room, what's going on? I love seeing y'all as always. Major, Negro, Michael, Rev Tim, Aaron, Shukri. So many people in this space that I've seen before. And I've been listening for about probably like an hour and some change. And there's some things that are sticking out in my mind. And I think the first point I want to make is, and I say this in conservative spaces, both on Twitter and off of Twitter, is that I truly believe the left and the media has made conservatives super uncomfortable talking about race and ethnicity. And I think it's one of our biggest downsides. I mean, you can't dispute the fact that, I'm a Black American and my ethnic group has gone through things that make us an ethnic group. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we relate to each other in a lot of those ways. It's based off of a common culture and history. So we got to be comfortable talking about that. That's fine. And to the conservatives in the room who say, well, why can't we all be Americans? Why can't we all be Christians? We can. That's fine. But we also have other things. I think just like conservatives talk about women's issues or children's issues, we can also talk about Black American issues. There's no difference in my mind, and we have to be comfortable leaning into that. And to the sister that just spoke about Black economics, that's exactly right. Conservatives should talk about that because we talk about Latino economics, we talk about Asian American economics, we talk about all of them. So it's fine. That's okay. But to the leftists in the room, I think that the fatal flaw on that side of the aisle is that everything is seen through the lens of race, where maybe it's not applicable or maybe it doesn't even play a factor. And I think that's a big downside as well. We have to be comfortable recognizing that also race is not the primary determinant in this country, as much as Black Americans like to think that it is, because that's who we are. I mean, it's part of who we are. It's a big part of our identity. Class does play a major role. There are wealthy black people. There are black billionaires in this country whose lives are radically different than the majority of black Americans. And that's something that we also have to acknowledge. And yes, obviously they're still black, but I promise you, they got lesser problems. At the end of the day, they do. Money talks and bullshit walks. And that leads into my second point, which is somebody's going to have to explain to me at some point what we want from white people. This is a conversation that I find to be super interesting because you've had several white people come up in this space and talk and say, hey, look, I don't have a problem with race, or I don't really care about it, or I support black people. And that's still not enough. So my question is, what is the solution? Like, honestly, what does it look like? If America is no longer racist tomorrow, what changes? Someone's going to have to explain to me again what the goal is for white Americans, because I feel like they come in this space, they say, hey, I'm an ally, I support y'all. I grew up with black people. I want to be supportive of y'all, but that's never enough for some black folks. It's like, oh, well, y'all not doing the right thing, because if you was really down for us, you would support A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Whereas there's no person in the world that's going to get your support on 100% of the issues. So we have to be honest about what our goals are. And if we don't have them, then just be explicit. If you want to come up here and complain about white people, just say that. But don't act like you have some grand plan for white people to get on board with, and therefore that's going to solve the issues that we currently experience, because it's not. The last thing I'll say is, I feel like this conversation is repetitive. I feel like every time I'm in a Twitter space, every 2 weeks or so, we have the same conversation over and over and over and over again. And I'm confused, because the same people telling me that the government is systemically racist are the same people going out there checking the box for Democrats who want to expand this white supremacist government that we talk about so much. So if this government is truly the main proponent of racism and has permitted anti-black racism, not only permitted but promoted and supported the institutions of anti-black racism, why the hell would we continue to vote 90% of the time for a party that's promising to expand it? We know the left does not care about black people. In fact, they support our genocide through our babies. They want to take away our right to bear arms and then raise taxes and distribute that to illegal aliens, people who aren't even American. So someone, again, is going to have to explain to me what the hell the goal is, because it don't make sense to me. If we really cared about black liberation, we will be talking about economics. We keep talking about it. Well, higher taxes hurt black families too, people. They do.
About 15
So,
seconds ago.
all right, I'll end it with this. Brother Jonathan talked about accountability, and that's true. I hear a lot of people saying we got to hold the government accountable, but that doesn't mean we're free from it as well. We got to hold our community accountable and talk about some of the cultural implications that happen as well. I'll end it there. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Javon. Because let me say this here to you, young brother. I think that what you said was a way, what we thought that we was going to come in here and start doing, saying what is it? And white people come in here and start saying what is it? You knocked it out of the park. I'm just going to say that. So I'm gonna let CC go right now. It's your mic, CC.
Hey, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm really disappointed in a lot of things I've heard, but to address the last speaker, what is our grand plan? Black Americans, what is the grand plan? Number one, stop pretending that racism doesn't exist. We experience racism every day of our lives in the present. And just to dispel the myths, I have 2 degrees. I'm a homeowner on the west side of Los Angeles. That's a big thing. That doesn't mean I haven't experienced hardship. Every job I've had, damn near, I've experienced an extreme amount of racism and sexism. But let me get back to what is the grand plan. We keep telling you what the grand plan is. Reparations. Reparations is a process that has been repeatedly done in this country. It's not a new concept. It should be in the form of cash payments and policies and programs that will restore us to our proper positions. So let's start there. I want to dispel some myths. I have so much just going through my head. I don't know the lady's name. I just want to say your ignorance is not my/our reality. First of all, the CDC did a study and they said the black dads are the best dads in the United States. If you research, you will see that immigrants and white women are the biggest beneficiaries of welfare. White on white crime far exceeds, here's an article: white on white crime far exceeds black on black crime, but the media covers it up. Then Google 8 times white people got handouts to put them ahead of black people. So when we say we're going to have these honest conversations, you can't just come in here with opinions. Be learned about what you speak about. It is very injurious to our spirits to sit here and to listen to you guys spew these just absolutely racist tropes. Back to reparations. Why is it that with whites, you all become these financial experts and gurus when it comes to us getting money? The Jews are still getting money for reparations. Rep Cohen, every year, advocates for a new round and they get a new round. The Native Americans are getting money hand over fist and land. White slave owners who freed my people got reparations. Reparations is a process. It is not new. It is not a handout. It is a debt that is owed. For those of you who keep saying, oh, we didn't own slaves, we had nothing to do with that. All white people in the United States benefited and still benefit from slavery, our stolen generational wealth. Now let's just play the game. Let's take reparations off the table. I mean, slavery. Let's start with what happened after slavery to the present. We had peonage. We had convict leasing. We had Jim Crow. We had redlining. We were denied Social Security, unemployment, GI benefits for over 35 years while paying taxes. We have been medically experimented upon horrifically. Eminent domain. Don't you ever wonder why freeways don't run through white people's neighborhood? They destabilize us. Drug drops to fund the Contra-Iran war. Then to say, oh, let's talk about the present. We are people talking to you about the present. I'm a sophisticated woman. I'm a classy woman. I'm an educated woman. But I go outside and the dumbest, most uneducated white person will still treat me like shit because the United States government is a big propaganda machine that
You got
has the
30
whole
seconds.
world thinking that our small population are these big deviants and criminals with no proof of it. And everyone believes that. It makes no sense. That would mean over 90% of our population are criminals, but immigrants come here and they're the best people in the world, no matter what countries they're coming from, no matter all of the atrocities they commit. So I'm going to close with this. When you have these discussions, act like you're humans, be moral. Slavery was a huge atrocity. At what point do you say, as a good human, yes, that stolen generational wealth should be paid to the American descendants of chattel slavery, to freedmen, to foundational Black Americans, to Black Americans? This is not just a legislative and legal issue, it is a moral issue. Act like good human beings and stop this farcical game that you're playing with real people. We are
All
real
right.
people.
We're good. Thank you very much.
Reverend, can I
Appreciate it,
respond to her
Cece.
since she said something
In
directly to me?
a second, Javon. Let's do this. Like I'm gonna say it again, and I know what she did. I'm gonna say it one more time. Please, people, do not direct anything to anybody. Everybody's got a right to speak their piece. They do. Everybody's got a right to speak their piece. That's what this
But
is
I
for.
didn't attack anyone.
Hold on, Cece. Hold on. I think Javon felt like that he made a comment and he felt like that it came through your comment at him. So I'm gonna give Javon 1 minute.
I
To
don't
say
even
whatever
remember what he said. Nothing was directed at him.
She didn't
Yes,
say
That's
ma'am.
nothing
why.
about Javon.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, Sister Cece, I want you to know I'm not taking this like personally or offensively. I would never do that because I don't think that was your intentions. What I'm saying is, you asked what the solution was, and you said the solution is reparations. And you made 2 comments that stuck out to me. Number one, you said that the measure of a good person is whether or not they support reparations. I wholeheartedly disagree.
I
I
never
think that
said
couldn't be
that.
farther from the truth. And then number 2, you said that's the answer. And I think that Okay, sure. If you think that's the answer, then that means you think money solves all problems, because there are other measures that have to happen. There's some self-reflection, community, cultural self-reflection that needs to occur in our community if we're going to make any progress. If you just think that there's no self-reflection involved, then I don't know how you exist on this earth, because at every single point, no matter who you are, on an individual or on a macro level, there is a self-reflection aspect. There is a personal accountability aspect that has to happen. I mean, whether we like it or not, it's the truth. And we can't blame white people for issues in our community. There's not white people telling us to kill ourselves in our community. It's
And
not
white
white
people
people.
kill
All
themselves
right,
every
so
day.
here we go. We're not going to get into a back and forth. Sir Major,
May I ask one question? How come
what,
every other group, money fixes everything for immigrants, for the Ukrainians,
Ask
for
the Democrats.
got a point.
COVID,
Ask the
Okay.
Democrats.
for everyone
Ask
else,
the
but not
Democrats.
Black
All right, I'm back.
Americans?
Okay,
Ask the
so
Democrats.
we're good.
Stop.
We're
Javon
good.
and Cece, stop.
We're good.
Okay.
We're not
I
we're
got
not
it.
going to do that. Sir Major, the mic is yours. Let's go.
Hold on, Tim, because I want to say something as the white guy running the thing. Since all of a sudden now we're going to talk about stuff, I've let it go for a while about a few things, and I'm going to make a point here. If you think reparations is going to solve problems, if you think that that's going to solve the problems, look at every Mr. Major, mute your mic. Look at every group that has ever received unexpected high dollars of money, and look at the amount of harm that has come to that group afterwards. The Native Americans, look at lottery winners, what happens to them. Look at everything that happens when people that are not used to having a lot of money suddenly come into wealth. It will be abused. Let me go through this step with you. And since y'all want to say this, I'm going to speak for people that don't get as many chances to speak. When you say don't categorize all black people as bad, but then you say look at all the police and the brutality that they do, you're making the same accusation about policemen as you don't want someone to make about the black population. You make comments about Jewish people all the time. I heard it all the time the other night in Sir Major Space. But then you don't like it when someone categorizes all black people. But here's the thing, you're right. You listen to white conservatives talk about black crime, and they go, well, it's this much crime and this much crime and this much crime and this much crime. Well, it comes down to really this percentage. And they come back and they basically say, look, really only 1% of this many people of the black population commit the crime. They're basically admitting that we're making a too big a deal out of black population, right? It's not really the black population. It's a small set of a black population. That's a fact. So it's stupid to call all black people and lump all black people. We have to stop using these generic terms about all people. But then you go past that level and you say reparations. Who is going to let me ask a simple question here. What happened in COVID when everybody suddenly got a bunch of money? What happened when a bunch of people suddenly got money because they were sitting at home and they had money they never spent? Who gained in that? Did the black population gain? Did the lower or the middle class gain during COVID? You know who gained all that money? The rich white motherfuckers that are running our country. So you give reparations to every black, talking about economics re-ups, and you're going to redistribute it to the elite that are going to steal your money, they're going to profit and advertise to you, and you're going to waste your money giving it to the elite builders, to the elite owners of Amazon, to the elite owners of everybody else. It ain't going to go to the people that need the money. So you can ask for it all you want. Do I think you have a legitimate complaint when you talk about the Japanese and the illegal immigrants and all the things? Do I understand where you're coming from? 100%. It sounds ultimately like you got fucked compared to every other person. 100% you got fucked. But I can't fix that for you in taking my tax dollars and the hard-earned tax dollars of Americans that are literally trying to fight back against the same government that fucked you is not helping us. It's not helping you. It's helping the elite because you're going to further divide even your own population because you only want to give it to FBA, which means now you're going to have a fight between the old blacks in each community. Because if they didn't have descendants, now what? Now who are you going to fight for? You're going to have black people pissed off at black people now. This isn't the solve. Materialistic things are not the solution for a materialistic world. Solution is reaching out to God, repenting, forgiving, and having kindness and love in your hearts, people. This is how we solve it. Why did I do this space? I've been on this for 3 hours now. Why did I do this space? I did not do this space with Reverend Tim to be a bitch fest. I did this because I want to see our communities find solutions, solve problems, build community groups, find a common ground with each other, and fix the problems. If you don't want to fix the problems and you want to tell a white person they need to give you reparation or there's no solution, then you aren't going to solve a damn problem, because there ain't enough white people that are going to vote for it, and there ain't enough elite that are going to give up their rich ass money for you. It ain't going to happen. So stop with the reparations. It isn't going to happen no matter how much you fight for it, unless you're going to join in and taking over the government. And when we did it in January 6th, you know what you said? Fuck those white people. Why? We stood up against the government just like you've been doing, and now you think it's funny? They took your community down. Now they're taking our community down, and you don't understand what they're doing to us. It's all of us against them. That is our issue in this world. It is not white versus black. It is fucking elite government, elite rich motherfuckers that have been controlling this thing for 200 years, and they've been controlling us, and you don't want to ally with us.
So I tried to bring that up earlier, right? And that's still that white oppression. Right?
That's not white oppression, Re-Ups. That's not white oppression. You know what? I'll give you this. I will give you this. You're right. There's a bunch of rich, white, elite motherfuckers that are oppressing you just like they're trying to oppress me, because they don't want me to fight their system either. So I will give it to you in that aspect. But it is not white oppression from the general population. It is white oppression from the elite motherfuckers that have been running this country since slavery. And that is a fact. And I don't know how you can deny that.
So you just finally actually caught up, right? Because that trick bag, right? The same time they tricked us into voting for that civil rights bill, and we voted Democrats for the next 60 years. That was the same. I'm sorry, Reverend Tim. He just said my name, right? And that was the same time, right? So, I mean, that same time they tried to convince you, the lowliest white man, that they're better than the blessed black man. That whole same trick bag. So, because you don't understand the system of white supremacy, you're not understanding anything else. So that reparations that you're talking about, you're not going to get to. Again, you're talking about feelings. This is about business. We were left out of the inheritance that we helped build, instilling. Yet you're telling us.
No. Y'all did this shit to Shukri the other night. I'm going to do it right back. No, we're not playing that. I literally just told you the economic of what it will do and what the consequences of those economic decisions will make. And you said I was talking feelings. I wasn't talking feelings. I talked 100% ethic of economics, because I run a business and I know what the hell I'm talking about too. I'm not an idiot when it comes to this shit. So don't sit here and say that I'm talking feelings, because I'm passionate about what I say. Y'all did the same shit to Shu the other night. You cut her ass off when she started making a point too. So look, you want economics? Then talk economics. Giving people free money does not make anybody's life better. 10% will be better. 90% will be more of a slave to the government than they were before. And if you care about
right?
If you care about black, you're not helping. You're not helping them. Go.
No, so we're gonna do. Let's do this here, Aaron.
That's fine.
Let's do this here, because we've had people up here speaking. There are literally 25 people with us got a request, wants to come up and say something. If you have already spoken, we will move you down. Literally, there are 25 people been waiting just to come up and speak. So we're going to go Shu, we'll do Sir Major, we'll do Black, but everybody else, we're pretty much going to have to move you down. So we've got
actually, Rev, Black has been up here a long time, so he needs to go first.
Yeah, we're going to do. I'm going to get. We'll get Black in there, but everybody else, we've got to get you down. We got to get these other people in here, give them an opportunity to speak. All right. So I'm going to unmute everybody. I hope everybody just chill, and we're going to go. So we'll go Black, Shu, Sir Major in that order.
Okay, thank you so much, Reverend Tim. Always in the spaces with you. I never saw Aaron or Michael, but shout to the co-hosts, everybody in the space. I'm going to take the conversation in a little bit of a different direction. Still on topic, but just a little bit different. So I want to talk about Reconstruction. Supposedly, as an illiterate population, we quickly rose up in the ranks of economic and political power, because for the first time in our history in this country, we no longer had the white man's boot on our necks. Okay, we had protection so that we could actually build economic and political power. And we did that very, very, very quickly, insanely fast, so much that quickly the white society decided to start a domestic terror campaign of bloodshed and economic tyranny against our population. Then they decided to bring in millions, tens of millions, and at this point, hundreds of millions of Europeans to quickly assimilate into white society, to be the standard bearers for racism and disenfranchising Black America, to lock us out, to divest from our communities by shipping our careers overseas and allowing endless chain migration to keep us at the bottom class of society. Today, Germans are the most populous white ethnicity in America, but they were not here at the foundation of the country. Black Americans were. Our ancestors were here fighting in every single war valiantly, even while fighting against the racists who embedded free, white, and 21 into their racist state constitutions. This is a racist nation with racist foundations, racist systems, racist governments that support economic racism all across all 50 states and all U.S. territories. We need Reconstruction 2.0, which will bring permanent Black American majority voter ruled state authority into the hands of Black Americans for the next 1,000 generations. We have been here the longest. We were bred to produce more humans to enslave, and still we are rising. If your white family was not here in the 1600s, if your white family was not here in the 1700s, if your white family was not here in the 1800s, you have zero say in what America owes Black America. The influx of 100 million so-called poor Europeans over the last 200 years, quite literally, this hidden population of immigrants that has kept us at the bottom while they've squandered our Black tax base that we have no control over, that we've never had any control over. Black American majority voter ruled states is the final comprehensive solution. We simply need white society to get out of our way. And I'm going to end with this biblical quote. Let my people go. Thank you.
Hey, Aaron, I've been looking for your the whole night here. The guy that I thought I'd seen in another space that was a troll, the biracial cat. Been looking for him. Has he contacted you at all? Because I was going to bring him back up. I thought I'd seen him in another space, and I thought it was. So I've been looking for him so I can bring him back up.
I can probably get him back in, but it depends on the space. Sometimes he can be legit, sometimes he can troll. I mean, it goes both ways. So
no,
it's hard to say.
That's what I was saying. I seen him in another space, and I heard him say some things. So that's why. But you know what? I've been looking for him. But you said he was your cat, so I wanted to bring him back up and give him an opportunity. But I could have swore I see him in a few places, and he had said a few things that wasn't right. So, but
well, to be fair, he's not my cat. He's been in a few spaces, but I've seen him do both. I've seen him been sincere and other times not been. So it can go off the rails quickly, depending. But he said he wanted to say it wasn't off the rails. I'll message him and see if we can get a chance to go back up.
No, like I said, my fault. I just wanted to get him back up. But like I said, I know for a fact I've seen this cat, and I've heard some things that he had said, and I did not want to bring that in the room. But again, I've been looking for him, give him the opportunity. So you want to give Sue the mic?
That's fine. Go ahead and run it again.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, Reverend. Can a couple of people go before me? I'm giving my child. I'm giving my child some eardrops. Can someone else go before me?
Yeah, we'll go before we'll take care of something
Aaron,
else.
can I go real
Thank you.
quick?
All right. Yeah, Chrissy, because a couple people called Chrissy's name out, so she's gonna be real quick. She wants to defend her honor a little
Yeah,
bit,
I just
so
want
I'm
to.
gonna give her a
I
minute
think
to do it.
Javon said a lot of what I had to say. I basically wanted to say we do a lot of kind of invoking Jewish and Jewish people and them receiving reparations, and why don't we get it? I am not knocking reparations. I am not knocking reparations. I am a foundational Black American. I've traced my roots back, going back at least 4 or 5 generations. What I meant to say earlier, we can't be so single focused on advocating for reparations that we forget what are we doing now. So in the meantime, for those that are advocating for reparations, what are you doing in your daily life? So if it comes or if it doesn't come, to position Black Americans to be in a place where they'll be better than where they're at now. And the reason I said that it's a class issue and not so much a racism issue is because those of us like myself, and I got so much hate in my inbox just because I said I had a baby at 17 and went on to graduate law school and I'm doing great and I don't experience racism on a daily basis. Racism has not affected my day-to-day life. But what are we doing right now in the meantime to position people that are in the class that needs to be helped? So are we teaching people that they need to get out of the system and homeschool their kids? Who are we mentoring? I do fathers' rights. We need to teach that Black fathers are in their child's life, but we need to bring back marrying so that they can have generational wealth, so they can have home ownership. We need to teach economics, like the older Black woman said. Are we training? Are we teaching our kids to go to trade school and not just to college anymore? So y'all can slam conservative principles. Y'all can slam conservatives. Y'all can say that, okay, I'm not on code because I'm saying that I'm not teaching my child that racism is around every corner. Yes, of course, America had an issue with racism. It doesn't affect my day-to-day life, and that's okay to say that. Like we got to cut this out thinking that we're a monolithic group, and if we don't think exactly how you think, that we're a sellout, we're Uncle Tom, we're this and we're that, because like Aaron was saying, if we do, right, let's say Black Americans got reparations tomorrow. That's not going to fix everything. That's not going to fix the issues in Chicago. That's not going to fix these kids that are, killing each other, that's not going to fix all of our problems. So we got to be working now in the community. Thank you, Aaron, for bringing me back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, a couple people kind of went after you, so I thought it was fair.
Well,
and my kids
asked
beat
a
me in
question.
basketball, so.
She asked a question. Can I get somebody to answer that for her? I mean, I don't know if you want to do it. If she wanted
feel free.
an
Go
answer,
ahead.
or
Go ahead.
What did you want to do?
I mean, I'm good with whatever you want to do at the moment. I thought we'd stop a little sooner. My kid really wanted to play me in basketball and PlayStation, so I'm trying to listen and also respect my kid.
Okay,
so,
all right. So you want to do another 25 minutes, or you want to? What are we looking at?
I'm good for as long as you want to go. I mean, like I said, I'm playing him while I'm listening to. So you want to do 10 o'clock? You want to do 10?
So let's do that.
Okay, 10 o'clock.
Lawrence, can you answer what she asked? That's why I brought you. Can you answer?
Miss Charity, I didn't hear her ask a direct question, but I think she's delusional.
No, Lawrence. Hold on. She asked the question of what have we done to prepare for reparations, basically.
Okay. There are lots of experts on this. I'm not necessarily the biggest expert, but there are lots of people in task force that are in California, across the country, that are positioning for reparations and moving forward. There's legislation being brought up. We do have economists like Dr. Sandy Darity and others who are actually moving forward on this. Now, as far as I heard her say, what are we going to do in the meantime for reparations? And this is the part that's delusional for her and a few other people that came up on this space. I know tons of rich Black people, okay, who are owning businesses. Re-Up is one of them, and so many others. And I know black people that got money from this pandemic, and most of them, black people were the most people that started businesses. Okay, so anybody talking about what are they going to do when the money comes? I don't care if someone babes in it and smokes it up. At the end of the day, it's a debt owed. If I give you money, Aaron, and you say you have to pay it back, you can't tell me what to do with it. It's mine. You owe me. If I invest it or if I fuck it up, it belongs to me. Respectfully, at the end of the day. Now, you black people who are talking about I haven't experienced racism, best believe you have, or you living in a box, especially you, Charity. I looked at your picture. You're a dark-skinned chick with nappy hair. If
Her name is Christy.
Wait,
Christy,
wait,
I
All
looked
right,
wait,
all
at
right. No,
wait.
no.
we're not gonna
Respectfully,
no, we're done. Christy, I'm moving you down too. You've already spoke twice, so all right, done. No, we said no. They ain't playing that game. It ain't happening. You called them delusional, then you made personal attacks. That's your second time up. We're done, Lawrence. You don't want to respect other people, fine. You're not doing it in my space. Not happening. It's bullshit. It's not respectful. It's disrespectful of everything. You don't know what she's dealt with. You can't talk for her. Last warning. Next person, I'm muting. I'm going to start sending people down as soon as you start with it now. Even a semi-comment directed at someone, you're off the stage. We have warned you multiple times. That's why we can't get anywhere in this damn world, because nobody knows how to be semi-respectful to anybody. So, all right.
Shu is back.
Well, Lawrence has been removed from the space since he wants to make those kind of comments to me now in private messages. So, not hurt my feelings, people. Call me any name you want. Oh no, I got called fuck you. Oh, no. Never been
come on,
cussed out
Lawrence,
before.
man.
I'm so hurt.
I brought you up to answer a simple question, brother. That's it. I didn't bring you up to attack nobody. I didn't bring you up to man. Come on. See, this is anyway. Shu is back. If you wanna bring her up.
That's fine. Yeah, she's back.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Reverend Aaron. Thank you so much for the space. It's been very interesting, and thank you so much for making it a very respectable, peaceful discussion. That is very important. I want to say that that's one of the reasons why I hosted space, asked Sarah Major to host me so I can get to know the Black community and hear from their side. But unfortunately, it didn't go as planned, and I'm very disappointed about that. Nonetheless, this is a great space. I want to say that I believe the African American. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you not hear her up, Re-Ups?
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear.
Okay, drop down, and I'll bring you back up.
Okay.
Okay, not okay. Shukri, I was talking to him, not you, goofball. All right, request again so I can bring y'all back up. In the meantime, there's Re-Ups. Let me add him back as a speaker. Okay. Shukri's back. Give me a second, people. Shukri, you didn't have to drop down. The person that can't hear you is the one having the audio
Oh,
problem.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
okay.
Good. Go.
Well, I don't know if you all heard me what I said earlier. Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you. He just couldn't. So we heard you.
Okay. I want to say that, I cannot personally begin to say that I understand the experiences of the Black community. But what I see is that, yes, slavery was atrocious and inhumane. But I believe that we need to move past it. I believe that we need to not focus on what has happened. We're in 2023, and we need to move past it and not hold on to to the past. Yes, reparation, everyone is asking for it, and you may fight for those causes, but what I'm seeing is a lot of anger, a lot of disrespectful way of going about the reparation. Anyone can fight for a cause, but it's the way that's being that's being handled in going about it. And I think you can be respectful and ask for anything you want, but respect has to be maintained. It is sensitive topic. It is economical, issue. It touches everyone. But please be respectful in your deliverance. Furthermore, I believe that the African American community have all the talent, intellect, and resources to achieve any goal that each one wants to achieve. So blaming systemic racism and saying that there's everyday racism, I think for your lack of achievement is at best a misplaced focus and is at worst what I call social insanity. Now, let me tell you what I mean by social insanity, and I would land on here. If you believe that racism prevents you from achieving any particular goal, then inherent in that belief is the granting of the power to succeed to the partisans of racism. That means that the partisan of racism have the power to grant or deny you success. I feel African American community should reject racism as a belief that has been an obstacle that prevents them from succeeding. If for no other reason, then it just simply does not serve your purpose. America was designed to be, a country of individuals. I believe there's no racial superiority under the law. We are all the same. What we do with our individuality is up to each one of us, and it's not a function of our race or ancestry. It is a function of our values and our choices. And I will land there. Thank you so much.
Oh man, where do we want to go? Do we want to go to Sir Major finally now? Give Sir Major.
Yeah, you want to come to me. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Aaron. I can read your mind, so I appreciate that. Shout outs to Rev, the co-host, to all my dear fellow Black Americans and my beautiful pearly white Americans as well. I am a American first. Y'all know I gotta be funny. Listen, I'm an American first. I believe in America first policies. So there is that. I just, I'm at a loss of words. I mean, and I'm not going to attack anyone, but I will respond to what we just heard. First of all, I fundamentally believe that there is no way in hell that an immigrant can come to America and tell the foundational Black Americans in this country to stop talking about slavery, to get over slavery. That is a slap in the face, and it is disrespectful. As a Black American, I can never consciously go to a different country. Aaron, I could never go to Somalia telling those native people there to get rid of, to get over the terrorism that happens every day in that country. I would never dream of it. It is outside of my place. I would never do it. And it is very insensitive, disrespectful, and egregious that anyone would feel comfortable coming up into a space and uttering those words. So let's be clear with that. The second thing, this is coming from a person who said that there's no systematic racism in America. That's problematic. If you check the Jumbotron, you can see that. This is coming from a person who says, "Dear Black America, I don't owe you a damn thing." That's where these remarks are coming from, that individual. And that is incredibly dangerous, harmful.
Sir Major.
I'll back off.
I'll back off.
I'll back off. But again, this is why it's incredibly important for Black Americans to delineate. Skinfolk ain't kinfolk. Just because people look like you, they may use your language, your American AAVE, to try to fit in. This is why we must delineate. Everyone don't have our best interests at heart. Another thing, there was a non-Black American woman who said that reparations, y'all need to get over reparations. You're not getting reparations, and kind of alluded to that. Reparations is happening, baby. Oh, it's happening. It will be here sooner than you know it. And we don't require your vote. We don't require your opinion, okay? Unless we just want to have shits and giggles. Reparations is coming very soon. on the state level and on the federal level. So if you got a problem with that, you should have had a problem when the Japanese got it. If you got a problem with it, you should have had a problem when the Native Americans got theirs. If you got a problem with it, you should have had a problem when every other ethnic group got reparations. The AAPI community got reparations. You didn't lift a voice and sing. You wasn't down there at the Capitol marching on and telling them on every mountain. So at the end of the day, reparations will happen without your approval and without your permission. I'll land.
So
Let's
is
do
this
this
where
here.
Tim,
I don't want to turn this. I don't want to turn this into a back and forth, Aaron. But Sue did ask that she say something. She felt she was being attacked.
Okay, so I'm going to
let
agree
me
to that.
know.
Can you hear me, Tim? Can you hear me?
I
Tim?
can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. Let's see. We had how many hours worth of Shu and Sir Major going back and forth? Shu, you got this quick. Because he brought your name up, but I'm not going to go back and forth with you two again. I listened to that for hours. So have it quick, but I want to say one thing. Sir Major missed the point when I did kick the African guy out earlier because he wanted to talk about American problems from Africa. So you would have enjoyed that part earlier. It's like, anyway, so go ahead.
With all due respect, Sergeant Major, you had 6 hours of a space where you completely attacked me, where I came in to simply learn
Girl,
about
don't be playing victim, Shu.
No,
Don't
I'm
do
sorry.
it.
Okay.
Come on now. We're not going to do that. Let's give her time to say what she got to say. And there's a dude that anyway. Here we go. So you got 1 minute. Ready? Go.
I didn't disrespect the history of the Black American and slavery. I simply called for moving on and not hanging on to the past. That's all I called for, because it's unhealthy to keep hanging on to the atrocities that happened. I did not deny it. I don't begin to understand it. So I'm not sure what part of it that you heard, sir. Thank you.
Okay, there's that. All right. Negro Johnny Depp has been waiting a while, so we're going to go to him. Then I'm going to give Chadigal his chance to finally get his chance to speak from earlier being caved. So
I don't mean to cut in front of him, but I like I said, I booted this young man. I mistook him for someone else, and I would like for him to come on in and say his piece.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
You have the mic, young man. Go for it.
Is that me? Okay. Yeah. So I have a couple of things to bring. What's up? Yeah, I have a couple of things to bring up. First of which, I got about three things. The first one is that Black people now have been in these Twitter spaces. I've heard about something called being on code. This is basically like where Black people have to show deference to each other and kind of like have this like racial hive mind. I have a big problem with using something called being on code and it having nothing to do with computer science or creating technologies that will better the human condition. I think this is a severe oversight amongst all Black people in the country. The other thing too that I've noticed is that I posted that thing about the amount of money that's been paid out for the Great Society. And I mean, again, I've been talking to all sorts of different types of people lately. And I learned about something called tax positive status for groups, which is basically like if a group pays in more into the tax system than it takes out in public benefits. This is called being tax positive. If you take more out in public benefits than you pay in, this is called being tax negative. White people and Asians are the only tax positive groups in America. Blacks and Latinos are all tax negative. I think that this should really be taken into account when considering things like reparations, because a lot of the white people that I've been talking to have been saying that reparations, like the highest estimates, have already been paid many times over. In the Black community, they take out about $3 trillion worth of public goods every single year. from the U.S. government as payments, and that's like really something that needs to be talked about when considering this conversation. The other thing too is like we'll bring up all sorts of things about statistics, and they'll be like, okay, well, white people are the biggest beneficiary, but then it's like, okay, yeah, but like that's because white people are the largest population percentage in the country. Like black people are what, like 12, 13, 14% or something like that. But if they're taking out 30% of the total welfare given, that's like 3 times their population percentage in the total given out. Um, you really need, like, you can't compare groups of different population sizes within statistics, and this is why it's important to understand what per capita means, which I've through talking to black people, I've realized none of them know what it is. They all just like look at the raw numbers. But then it's like, okay, well,
So
if we were to
per capita,
hold
I'm
up,
sorry,
hold
I'm
up.
sorry, respectfully.
No, no, no. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go, Rio. Let him go. Let him go. Here we go.
Yeah, significance of per capita is like if we were to have as many black people in this country as we were to white people, like the numbers would be vastly different. It would be significantly more taken out by black people than white people of public services, all things, education, food stamps, like government, housing vouchers, like all sorts of different things. Like it would be significantly higher payout because of the per capita discrepancies. Um, it's a big problem that black people just don't understand this basic thing. I mean, I think that this could be like an educational problem. It could also be like a selective hearing problem. Me being biracial, I got feet in like 2 different camps. So like, I'm able to think about these things a little bit more critically than either white people or black
Your
people, I think.
mother's a tether.
Yeah, anyway.
Boy.
Rio, let him go. Leave him alone.
Yeah, and then the
Go
last
ahead,
thing
dude.
that I would say is that reason people now. What happened with slavery is basically akin to a UFO coming down, aliens abducting black people and bringing them to a whole nother planet that's technologically advanced. It has medicine, it has in written language, like all sorts of different things that hadn't existed in sub-Saharan Africa where most of the slaves are taken from. And I think it's preposterous that we're like relitigating this problem from like 160, 180 years ago or whatever now. And mention all these details that they constantly get slipped off and poo-pooed, but it's like these are the things that the white people are talking about. Like if you really want these things in reality, like I think the people have to grapple with these. And with that, I'll land. I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Now, the reason I kept telling you guys to let this dude go, I didn't want anyone to say anything. I just wanted to prove my point. This dude, Crypto, is the reason this dude is here. He did what he wanted to do. He wanted someone to mess up our space, and that's what he did. He tried to call me out for sending this dude down like I knew I should have from the get-jump. This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about that we need to we can't overlook it. We can't overlook people like him. I knew what this dude was about. I knew it from the jump. That's why I booted him the first time. But Crypto decided that he wanted him in this room to do what he just did. And now he's gone. He left himself. I didn't boot him out. I know what I'm talking about.
Actually, to be fair, I did.
Okay.
I took him
well,
out
I'm
as
just
speaker.
saying. I knew he was gonna do that. I knew it. But Crypto was on the back end of this, talking about somebody booted him out, a biracial and all. Crypto knew what this guy was gonna do. This is what I'm talking about, man. That guy is something. Man, I got something for him when we're done. Go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Rev and Aaron, just so everyone knows, excuse me, I am having some Twitter issues with bringing people up and stuff like that. So if I do drop out, I'll obviously try to come back in. But if I do drop out, it's not because anyone said something. So let's continue on. Well, I've been every time you fucking spoke, I've wanted to drop out, but that's okay.
I hate you right now. Okay, and he's my co-host, by the way. That's messed up. All right, Negro Johnny, you're up.
Appreciate it. Can you hear me? Because I'm in the car. I don't know if
If my
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
okay, cool, man. Well, this is cool. I don't know what just happened a little while ago, but this is pretty cool. I actually really appreciate this space because I think the rep said earlier, a lot of spaces be, I don't know if you use these words, but bullshit. Because they do. I know. I be in them. I be co-hosting them or hosting them because it'll be bullshit. These conversations are very like pertinent. I personally, it's very interesting. I'm listening to everybody speak. I do want to say real fast to all of my diehard reparationists in here. What you just heard from the last guy, that time's like a thousand out there. Like so, like I don't want you to think that's isolated to that guy. I actually don't even think he was trolling. I truly believe that he believed everything he said right then, and I truly believe that he was making an impassioned case right then. Which is, you make up your own mind about what you feel about that. But just know that that's what that is. So I do not give a damn about. I don't give a damn about race at all. Like I have to be totally honest with you. I do not care. I'm from the block. Like I'm from North Philly, Germantown, 17th, right behind Temple. Like raised by the block. Like, and a lot of my I have brothers that are dead. I have brothers that are doing well with their life. I have brothers that are who knows where they are. I have friends from school that are on the same block. Friends from school that went on to better with their lives. Friends from school that I don't. We make uniform decisions, but I think that what we're missing right now is that these people who control us don't give a damn about race either. What you think that like when Klaus Schwab goes to sleep at night, like he's worried about black people? Like these people are moving into this transhumanism. Like they're now like trying to conquer human beings. Like we're beyond an idea that their focus or the focus should be on the color of one's skin. That's insane. I am black and I'm not a fool, so I would be a fool to go against reparations because as has been pointed out in this space a lot, without a doubt, a lot of people get a lot of money concurrently, still to this day, and have before. And I just think that it's kind of like, I think it is a little like, it's kind of like a non-starter, specifically for people who are like reparations in the middle, to say that we just don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's difficult because we've seen it be paid out in a lot of different ways. But I don't care about, not I don't care about, but there are different people in different departments. I'm not in the reparations department. The folks that are in the reparations department, they like say the numbers, crunch the numbers, and they go hard for it. I'm big on two things. One thing, I'm really big on the Bible, okay? But I'm also big on like politics. I love politics. And I think that we as black people are actually missing the most golden opportunity because far and away from 2000, far and away from the 1960s or far and away from Reconstruction, we are at the closest to having a political vehicle to achieve the destruction of the exact systematic racism that we acknowledge exists. So to acknowledge that it exists means that it's been put in place, meaning that the way to fix it, I know that we can be on spaces all day long and talk about it. We can have parades and marches all day long and talk about it. The reality is the way to fix it is by fixing the system. The only way you fix the system is if you input people who have our minds and our ideas into the system. I think we kind of like whole cloth reject the system because we've been done wrong. And I think that is a grave mistake, not just because in the right now you have white people and Hispanic people who understand that there is a vehicle in politics that is the people coming in are moldable, clayable. They're not like the 50 and 60 year people that's been there forever. And there's more hope or more optimism in the idea that things can get done. We are detaching from that. And if we're not detaching from that, we are making the grave mistake of continuing on supporting the party that's responsible for 90% of all of the ills that we speak of in our community. Sure. And I think that's a big problem. I think earlier we touched on Abraham Lincoln, but it just, I know another brother said it earlier when it was said, but he was murdered. So the idea of the Freedmen's Bureau, the idea of the integration of these freedmen into society was then obliterated. The first person ever impeached was the Democrat president that took over, that rejected the same laws or the same constitutional whatever that they passed in the 1960s, but just under a different party. We're missing the fact that our actual enemy here is the party that has been subjugating us and everything black and brown in this country and have expanded their tent to subjugate everything with a pulse. And
All
we're
right,
going
my
to
friend,
miss
we're
out.
good. Thank you.
And Rev, excuse me, sir. Cliff, if you got something to say, put your hand up, bud.
All right, so let's do this. We said we were going to cut it off at 10 o'clock. I whooped my kid while we were playing at NBA 2K, so he loses, so I get to brag for the minute. While I was distracted. So that's what happens when you're a good father. You still beat your children at games. Anyway, so come on, people. You got to laugh a little here. Jesus. Have some fun. All right, let's do this. We're going to probably have to do rapid round. What do you want to do, Tim? Do you want to go like a minute a person and try to get as many people, or are we going to just give what's up here and go? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's see how many people we can get in. Let's go a minute.
All right, you got a minute a person. So let's start with, I'm just going to go down what I see visible. So re-ups your last minute, and then we'll go Marcel.
So yeah, y'all black folks on this stage and that go around this app trying to make race and discussion of race more palatable for these white people, y'all got to stop. To touch on Chatical, right? You're the wrong kind of black person that I ever want speaking for me, right? Your mom's Ethiopian. She married a white man. She's suffering from Stockholm syndrome, right? That's a problem with a lot of you immigrants. A lot of that's in representation. You know, you're in love with the oppressor. So you're only going to understand that aspect of it. But for the cooning and the dancing that I've seen, I couldn't know Quinn. You probably gonna be one of them two Negro. You halfway there, you just lost, bro. Y'all gotta tighten up, bro. That's part of being on code, right? What Chatical, going back to Chatical was saying. I'm not gonna denigrate one of my black people on this stage, part of the diaspora, not part of FBA, whatever. I'm not going to do it in front of you white folks, right? The conversations about what we need to do as far as what we're teaching each other, what we got going on in-house, what we want to do with our reparations once they're paid, that's our business. That's in-house business, right? It's been too many times where y'all have, let's get a part of the conversation. You sit at the conversation, right?
20
And then you
seconds,
undermine it, right? And that's all I want to say, man.
All right, appreciate it. Marcel, you're up.
Damn, a minute. Okay, let me go. So one, I better not hear any white person ever, any white American talking about reparations as a handout. When if white Americans want to see the face of a group of people that have gotten handouts, look in your photo family album. You will see people who have gotten handouts. The Homestead Act gave white Americans 300 million acres of land. Today's value is like 10 to 20 trillion dollars. The GI Bill gave to 15 million white American veterans $6 trillion. Okay, and there were many Homestead Acts. The one I mentioned was just the one Abraham Lincoln did in 1862. Jim Crow kept Black Americans from opportunities in education, home ownership, business ownership, health care, that white Americans got priority just because they were white. All this talk about affirmative action, white Americans have received more affirmative action than any group in this country. At the end of slavery, Black Americans only own 0.5% of this country's wealth. Today, we only own 2.6%. You're not going to go to a doctor, and a doctor's going to ask you, tell me your medical history. History matters. The same way y'all like to praise these white billionaires, saying how they worked hard for years to get to where they are. America worked hard for years to put Black Americans where we are. Just admit you're anti-Black Americans, and you had no problem with Native Americans getting reparations, the Holocaust survivors, Japanese Americans, people in Guam, but you want to hold your head and scream at the sky while Black Americans get it. Just admit you're a bigot, and we can take it from there. I like my bigots honest.
At least we can agree about wanting people to be honest. All right. Dang it. Now someone just moved up my screen. All right, Quinn, go.
Thank you, man. I didn't want to go out the way I did go out. I wanted to try and provide this little bit. My fundamental politics is just try to find unity and try to progress and try to uplift. And so I would challenge everybody here, especially the people who are preaching a lot of grievance. What do you care about most? Do you care about uplift? Do you care about raising people up? Do you care about progressing yourself and the people you see as your tribe? or do you care about backbiting and grievance and fighting? Because ultimately, you're going to have to choose at one point, and if you choose the wrong way, you're not going to succeed. That's my opinion. That's it.
Appreciate Quinn. Yeah, I don't want to leave you. I know you got kind of frustrated with how you got left in the last one. So, all right, man. Let's go, TK.
Hi, I appreciate the space. And just real quickly, I only have really 2 points. The first one is the conversation that I heard regarding what Black people would do with the money for reparations and what people generally do with reparations. First of all, Black people are excellent savers. The statistics support that. But when you owe a debt, okay, America owes a debt. Not just chattel slavery, but everything that came after that had a domino effect. When you owe a debt, you pay the debt. It doesn't matter what people will do with the money. Um, that's the first thing, since we only have a minute. But that, you know, America's not, and also America is not absolved of that debt because, quote unquote, it was a long time ago. It really wasn't. So that's like the first point. The second one is what I heard. You know what? I don't even need to address that because that was weird, and the Reverend already explained how the guy was weird. But that's the main point I want to drive across is when you owe a debt, if it's determined that it's a legitimate debt, and I believe it is, it does not matter how people spend the money. If I owe you $100, that would be like me saying, I know he's going to go snort cocaine with it, so I don't want to pay it. That's not how that works. And I'm going to land my plane there.
Oh man, I have so much to say, but I'm trying to let everybody get their piece.
I know.
We'll do another space about something.
Yes,
All right,
please
let's
do.
go. Yeah, so we will. All right, let's go. Miss Angela, you're up again.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And so this won't take long. And thank y'all for holding the space. I really appreciate it. I'll drop down after this. But all I want to say is this, okay? About that, listen, nobody in this room right now, today, will work for free. Not nan one of y'all. And if you was to work for somebody, right? And say you did the work and you're waiting on your paycheck. Everybody goes to work expecting to get paid, okay? And just because it was legal at that time to have slavery, okay, they still should have been paid because when they was let go, my family was let go with nothing after they worked years for free. So that debt is still owed. It's owed to the descendants. If I was to work for you today, Aaron, and you was to say, Miss Angela, I'm gonna give you $5,000 for the month. You never give it to me. That don't mean just because I let it go for 50 years that is not owed anymore. It's still owed. If I die, I want my descendants to get that. It doesn't need to be a study. It's a debt that's owed. Everybody knows who built this country. We can go back. Y'all kept immaculate records. We can go back, and I even told you about my story. So it's a debt that's owed. It's nothing to be discussed, nothing to be argued about. Period. Nobody will work for free in this day and age, and you will want to get paid. Whether it was from 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 seconds ago. When you do your work, you expect to get paid. Right now, today. So the debt is owed, and no matter what we do with it, if we throw it up a horse's ass, that's our business. And I land on that.
I just want to say one quick thing. Have you seen the current workforce? There's a lot of people that want to work don't want to work and get paid. Sorry, that's coming from a business owner.
What'd you say, Aaron? I didn't hear you.
I said, have you seen the current workforce? Because there's a whole lot of people that don't want to work and get paid. But
That's what I'm saying, Aaron. And then you know what's funny? It was a white guy that was in the space, and I'll just tell this story real quick, right? And he was like, "Well, I don't understand what I don't have privilege, white privilege." He was like, "I don't have any money. I make $50,000 a year," and I'm like, "Dude, do you know how long it takes an average Black American to get up to $25 an hour in this country?" You understand what I'm saying? There was a time when I was making $4.25 an hour, when my white counterparts was not as smart as me, not trying to be funny, but they were the CEOs of the company and they was making hundreds of thousands and getting bonuses. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the wealth gap. He's complaining that he makes $50,000 a year, but I know black people right now that have degrees that are just making that. You understand? And he doesn't even have a
I got
degree.
you. I got you. All
So
right,
you
let
know what
me
I mean? So
I
that's the
know.
difference, and that's what we're talking about. Like what's average to you, the average person for us is making $13, $14, $15 an hour, especially without a degree, in our community. So you can't make it on that. A lot of us are just making paycheck to paycheck. So I just want to land on that.
Okay. All right, let's go. Everything's bouncing out of order now. So I'm trying to move everybody that did it currently. So let's do Black Walnut and then Resident.
That's Black Wall Street.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I was trying to agree. My bad. Black Wall
No,
Street.
it's
Go ahead.
cool, man. Yeah, I heard a lot of, man, there's a lot of crazy stuff being said in here. A lot of stuff just being set off the, you know what I'm saying? Just on some I'm white and I say so type stuff where they just saying stuff with no context, no actual statistics to back it up. Just like Miss Angela said, it's a debt that's owed, and it doesn't matter what we do with it. Nobody asked, and somebody complained about us saying it earlier, but it's true. It's facts. We backing it up. Nobody has all kind of Twitter spaces and all this kind of stuff about what Jews do with their money. Nobody said anything to the Japanese about what they need to do with their money. Native Americans, Korean. I mean, we could go down the list. The list goes on and on. I mean, current day, we just gave Afghans a bunch of money. We gave Ukrainians a bunch of money. We just gave Africans a bunch of money. Okay? And nobody's saying, but what, wait a minute. Y'all got to be smart with your money now. Y'all better do this. Nobody had a comment. Y'all don't do all this stuff and make all this ruckus when anybody else gets some money. But when Black Americans want to get paid for the debt that is owed for the free labor that helped build this country, majority of what built this country, then all of a sudden everybody's up in arms and everybody's a critic, everybody's an analyst, everybody's a historian, everybody's economist. Like, bruh, even you, Aaron, trying to talk about what's going to solve our problems. The majority of our problems stem from the lack of resources. And the lack of resources are there because we've been sabotaged, disenfranchised, and oppressed because of systemic racism that exists in all areas of our lives, because it's woven into the fabric of this country, because it exists in every single institution that exists in this country. I don't give a damn if we had a guy who was melanated as a president of the United States. Shout out Obama, who wasn't no good for Black Americans. He screwed us over, but we're not going to even get into all that. That dude wasn't even a Black American. He was an African.
All right, wrap it up because we're over a minute. We got.
Okay,
I'll
I'll land with this. He was African. Okay, he wasn't even a Black American, so he didn't even share our lineage, right? That doesn't equate to the vast majority of the experience of Black Americans, even if he was Black American. Okay, so we're not just talking about the exceptions to the rule. We're talking about the overwhelming experience of the overwhelming majority. And I'll roll my horse on that.
Okay. All right. We get that. And I think anybody that doesn't understand what I'm trying to do, that thinks that what I said earlier was meant to be a slight, needs to talk to me more. So that's my comment had nothing to do with a slight.
No, I didn't say it was a slight. I just said the way it was taken and the way it was received, it was kind of tone deaf. But I just wanted to make my little criticism on it. It's nothing personal. I'm just addressing what you said.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, I'll be glad to have these conversations more in depth with everybody in another space or anytime privately. I have no problem having the conversation, and that's how we solve issues. So, and I don't disagree with a lot of the things you'll say. So, all right, Resident, you're up.
Yes, greeting to the host and hostess, Reverend Tim. You know I'm in this room because you co-hosting. But anyway, shout out to everybody, all the Black Americans in the room. Listen, my problem right now is immigration. It seemed like a lot of these immigrants got a lot to say about Black Americans getting reparations. And if you're a mixed breed, mixed with white and black, please be quiet. We don't want to hear your mouth. We don't sit on the sideline, be quiet, because we're talking about Black American business. Second of all, in Texas, They have the. I'm hoping my governor Greg Abbott passed this god dog me bill that some of these immigrants, all these immigrants, can't buy land in Texas. I, I am. He already said he's gonna. If it come across his desk, he's gonna sign that bill. And this is where America needs to do. America, yes. We do not want immigrants buying properties that belongs to Americans. Okay? We need to put Americans first. And I'm gonna end on that. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Greg Abbott ain't going to sign shit, and they're buying it through American companies, so it won't matter. It'll still be a Chinese company buying it through an American property. Fuck Greg Abbott. Sorry, I just had to get that out real quick for because he ain't going to do shit for any of
Okay,
us.
let me
So
ask you something. Would you vote for that bill? Would you go for that bill?
the bill that isn't written, no, that bill doesn't do shit
No,
but
no,
stop one
no. Would
problem.
you
If you don't know
if that bill come across, are you for that bill? That's all I'm asking.
that bill as they're writing it, no, because it doesn't do what it tells you it does. That's what y'all got to
No, will
understand.
it?
The
Okay,
American
so
companies,
you're not. So
no,
are
no,
you for
listen.
immigration? Are you for these people flooding our
Listen,
country,
listen,
buying our
resident,
land?
listen. Don't make me use the mute button. You didn't listen to what I said. I'm not for the bill as the bill is written. It is a disguise, people. It's going to be Chinese people are buying up land through American subsidiary companies. The bill does not stop that. I am not for people buying up our land. I am 100% against immigration. Go look at my policies when I ran against Dan Patrick. I want a damn wall built that blocks the federal government from even touching Texas land. For the love of God, fuck the federal government, what they're trying to do there. But here's the thing. Read the bills. Understand how they're using our system against us. Our governor is using a bill to disguise it, just like the TikTok bill. It's only stopping corporations, the government from using TikTok. It's not stopping private people from being abused by TikTok. Read the bills. They're playing you. It's not what you think it is. They're not being honest with us. I hate all of this. I'm very staunch on my opinions on the way things should be going at the border. So anyway, let's move on to the next person. I'm not trying to be rude, but let me finish my point before you cut me off, please. All right, Cliff, you're up. Go.
Thanks. Now, the only thing that I wanted to just say is just I've kind of heard a bit of this a few different times about how black people should move on, they shouldn't dwell. I don't agree with that at all. Jewish people have a saying that says "never forget" when they talk about the Holocaust, and I don't think black people should forget about slavery. I don't think they should forget about Jim Crow. I think that they should remember it, and they should make sure that it never happens again, just like a Holocaust should never happen again. Reparations is a very complicated topic. I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole, but I just wanted to get my point about that. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, Cliff. All right, Lisa, go.
Hey, I think ODB was before me.
I'm trying to just go down a list. I'm not moving anybody
Okay,
else up
all
right now,
right.
so I'm just clearing through it.
All
You're
right,
good. I
I'll go
appreciate it.
for it. I'm a white woman from Minnesota. I'm a Democrat, Reverend Tim. I'm following you around from room to room to learn from you. As far as reparations go, I just want to say what my viewpoint is as I'm trying to learn more. I don't think anybody in this room has said that reparations is going to fix everything. I hear people in the Black community talking all the time about other things that they want to do. I never hear them solely about reparations. So I just felt the need to say that. I have no problem with reparations. It disturbs me when people say, it's just get over it, stop dwelling on it. In my view, yeah, slavery happened, but then what followed? Black people, they were segregated, they were free, but they were segregated. What jobs did they get? Maids, washing clothes. I mean, from my experience, my grandfather, Reverend Tim, you'll appreciate this. My grandfather owned a home by George Floyd Square. My grandfather was born in 1890. And in 1960, he asked my parents to buy a house down the block. And I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm trying to open people's eyes. He asked my parents to buy a house down the block because a Black family was going to try to buy it. So I have no problem trying to right the wrongs that the institution of America, from the government to the bank redlining to my grandfather asking my parents to buy a home down the block so a Black family couldn't. I have no problem. And I just want to say too, in case this helps people, it's not an oppression Olympics, but for white people, I would say think about it like if you followed the Catholic Church and the settlements over the abuse that has happened in the Catholic Church. The money is, I mean, yes, the Catholic Church has investments, but no member of any Catholic Church committed those abuses, but the institution settled and paid people who were abused by the priests. So we need, in my view, we need to right these wrongs. I mentioned my grandfather and the house thing. My parents, when I was 7, had a Black maid. Black people, at least in Minnesota, in my experience, have not had the same opportunities because the segregation went on so long and we devalue their contributions. And I think, and I'm sorry to say this, Aaron, I really, really appreciate you for having this space. And I came because it said uncomfortable conversations. I think we sell them short by saying, you won't use the money wisely. Maybe 10% won't, but I think 90% will. And I think the Black people that I follow online in Minnesota are going to spend that money in Black businesses. So I just wanted to say that. I thank you for letting me speak. I get uncomfortable doing this, but I want to be part of the conversation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming up.
It is after 10, my friends.
Yep.
Some of us got to get up in the morning. I think this was a starting point, Aaron, Michael, that hopefully we can do this again and give people the opportunity to air out whatever they want to air out. I'm going to say this here, if y'all don't mind here, before we close this out. For those Black people who have zero clue what I do and what I've done and how I've done things here in Minnesota, you can leave here if you want, and you can start rooms about me, and you can call me whatever the hell you want, because I really don't care. Because at the end of the day, with all the babies that I've fed, all the single women that I've paid their rent for, all the Black women that I've hid in hotels away from men who was beating on them, that's what I'm about, and that's what I do. I fight for our Second Amendment rights to make sure that Black people understand that they have every right to have a firearm in their house. I teach Black women how to shoot. I've done many of those Black women to teach them how to shoot to protect themselves. I teach Black women what a scar protection is, so they're not getting themselves in trouble. So the next thing you know, they're out there in jail because some dude and use a gun that they bought for them that they tricked them into buying for. What I do for the black community is more than half of these people who want to go off and start a room about me has ever done. So if you really, really care, if you really, really want to know, bring your ass up here and put the boots on and walk these streets with me. Do that any day. I just finished up last week. We had 19 kids that we did a youth business center for, where these kids have to have all of their business platforms set out for us. Young entrepreneurs is what we're building here. Is what we're doing. Black entrepreneurs is what we're doing. I'm trying to get a building as we speak for the young black men so they're not walking the streets here in Minnesota getting shot and hurting themselves. That's what I'm doing. And I opened this room up tonight so we can have a dialogue, so you guys can say what you want to say and they can say what they want to say. Because I go into a lot of white rooms and they're saying some things that you wouldn't believe. And I just sit there and I open my mouth and go, wow. And then I go into a lot of black rooms and the only thing we're doing is we're fighting each other. So here's my thing, man. I'm not asking anybody to follow me. I have never asked not one person that follows me. I never asked them to do it. But if you're going to follow me and then you're going to criticize what I do, go find somebody else to play with, because I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I'm busting my butt for my community here, for a black community that's getting railroaded like you wouldn't believe by people who should not be in this country, I would say. And they come here and they get all of the goodies and we get nothing. There's $240 million that has been stolen from the black community. And I'm up at the Capitol almost every single time I get a chance. And I'm fighting them to get that money so it can come back into the black community. That's what I'm doing. So if you're going to start a room for me, then bring your ass
Sir,
here
hey,
to
thank you so
Minnesota
much for everything
and
you're
you
doing,
come
but
up
there's just
with
four
me.
of us left. I hate to interrupt you. There's
Is
just
what
four
I'm
of us
saying.
left.
No, I gotta get you. Four? You want to do those four, Aaron, or what do you want to do?
I think that would be fair because they were already up here. So and we
Okay.
kind of but make it quick.
Okay.
We're going to do it. So finish your point, and then we'll let them three have a minute each.
No, my point is going to be just like Aaron, and I'm sure Aaron's going to take, and I'm sure Michael is going to take some heat from what we did. But what we did was for a reason. It was for a reason. Aaron took heat when he was in Sir Major's room, and they was going after Aaron. The white people was going after Aaron. So I know what Aaron feels like because it always happens to me, whether it's my wife, whether it's my dog, whether it's where I live or whatever it is. So bring it. I'm saying bring it because like I said, I don't care. My job is to make sure that these kids get fed. My job is to make sure these kids got shoes on their feet. My job is to make sure that they got clothes on. My job is to make sure that they're not out here shooting and killing each other. That's what I do. And I do my best with Aaron and Michael here tonight. I thank you all for opening this space and giving these people an opportunity, whether they vented, whether they didn't get to say everything they wanted to say or not. So I'm going to leave it at that, and then we'll get back to the hands. Aaron, go for it.
Appreciate it, Tim. I'm going to let these three, and then I'll make one final statement, and then we'll get out of here. So, all right, ODB. We're going to go ODB, Cato, Ronan.
Yeah. Shout out to the space. Shout out to Reverend Tim, Aaron, and Michael. Hosting the space. I really do like spaces like this where Americans can come together and hash out our grievances. But one thing I will say is if you look into the jumbotron, I posted the cost that America had, the money that America's lost in the GDP due to racism. You know what I mean? So it's costing Americans to not pay reparations, and that's just what the facts are saying. At the end of the day, if we do get paid reparations, regardless if people are irresponsible or whatever the way with their money, it will revitalize, give a boost to the economy. So I'll say that. And then one thing I will say, Black Americans that American by blood, you know what I mean? Family been here, fought in every war since the American Revolution, or the American Revolution. We just need. I feel like the problem is that people people are trying to put everybody in the box, and they're not ready to hear the unadulterated truth. You know, we have a lengthy history. You know what I mean, with these classifications of being reclassified and misclassified when they do to Walter Plecker. You know what I mean? I want people to look up Walter Plecker and that history right there. Also, the history of the American Colonization Society, how they always were trying to get Black Americans off their land. You know, that part has really outside of the reparation conversation. But yeah, when you look, just to tie it back in, when we look at reparations and the amount of money lost, you know, I mean, I don't think America can afford to continue to lose and pin Black Americans as second class citizens while bringing immigrants in. That goes for Ukrainians, Mexicans, Black immigrants alike, to continually make this buffer class the same way they did for the Irish Jews and Italians, and then cut their nose despite their face in the Midwest to send those jobs over to China because Black Americans were still thriving and surviving in the middle class. So I'll land right there with that.
Appreciate it. All right, Cato, you're up.
Yeah, on the matter of reparations too, we need to remember that America is actually a poor country because we have not done reparations. City Financial, we don't have to like it, but it's one of the largest banks in the world. It's considered to be so large that if it were to collapse, it will send the world into a negative financial tailspin. They said that America had lost $16 trillion since the year 2000 because of anti-Black racism. Okay, so if we would have done reparations, we would be at least twice as rich. In the 90s, 3 times as rich. In the 80s, 4 times. In the 70s, 5 times. So reparations. Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a white man who was a racist from Texas, where you are, Aaron, he said that he realized the only thing you got to do for a poor white person is convince them that they're better than the best Negro, and they won't notice you're picking their pocket. He said, give them someone to look down upon, and they'll empty their pocket for you. So there are some people that hate America so much that they recognize that reparation has been done before for other groups, even when the original people were dead. It was done for their descendants. That was done for the Japanese, the Native Americans, Holocaust survivors, the people of Guam, the Iranian hostages. But people realized that the same standard should apply to this Black descendants of American slaves. But because of anti-Black hatred, they would rather see America collapse this in the same realization that Lyndon B. Johnson recognized. The second thing I want to say, and I'm gonna make this very quick right here. I'm tired of this whole what we gonna do with our money. Like people already said, that's our damn business. But no one seems to be questioning the Pentagon, who can't pass, who keeps failing an audit, and they've gotten what, $9 trillion in the past 8 years, and the Pentagon has failed their audit for the 6th damn time. Ain't no one asking them what they're doing with the money. White Americans have 90% of America's wealth. And yet, how many times has the economy crashed because of large companies like the banking industry, the housing industry, that white Americans are in charge of? And yet no one says to those white Americans who gets bailouts from the government, what are they going to do with that money? Because they done ruined the country once. And last but not least, Black Americans built Black Wall Streets from nothing. We had nothing. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any protection. And we built Black Wall Streets. And had they not been burnt down by white mobs, they would be larger than New York City right now. When Black Americans got those stimulus checks, we started more new businesses than any other racial or ethnic group in America. So if any group needs to be asked, what you going to do with your money? It's white Americans, not Black Americans.
Okay. Ronan, you're up.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Ronan. If you don't know what a Ronin is, that is a samurai that does not have a clan. I grew up in Mississippi, in one of the poorest counties here in Mississippi. And I just want to kind of share with y'all kind of how I think about racism and bigotry and kind of tribalism as a whole. So I don't believe there's such thing as bad people. I believe there are bad ideas. When we refer to racism, when we're talking about sexism, things like that, what we're doing is we're having a bias. A bias is just a shortcut that your brain makes based on decisions and experiences before. And they're natural and everyone has them. But luckily, they're easily bypassed. You can do this with critical thinking. It's very easy. Just take a breath and just start asking why. Why does that person feel that way? Why is that person upset? Who hurt that person? What has that person dealt with in their life? Excuse me. Sorry, I get a little tongue tied. I wrote this down though. So I want to kind of tell you a story. So we were talking about bias and how that affects us as far as like race and different things. Another way that we get bias is through knowledge passed down to other members of our tribe. But some members of our tribe learned that they could lie and manipulate and control us with words. Some of those ancestors are still in power today. And I'd like you to consider maybe where a lot of this stuff stems from. Where does all this division come from? I'll quote George Orwell: "Who controls the past controls the future, and who controls the present controls the past." How much of this bias is fed to us? How much of this is purposely given to us to manipulate us? Napoleon said, "Divide and conquer." Does everyone here know that 4 trains have derailed in about 10 days? The last one in Detroit.
Okay. Wrap it
Hours
up. Wrap it up. we said quick.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for my time. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thanks. Okay. So it's 10:23. Okay. Let's do this quick. Look. Yes, what you said, Reverend Tim, is correct. I'm taking flack. I'm getting messages. You're getting messages. Everybody's getting messages. We're all a bunch of you know what. I'm disingenuous. I don't care. You're right, people. I decided to get pissed off about COVID and what they tried to do to my business and your business and everybody else's. And I dropped $80,000 of my own money that I built with myself through my business, working my ass off. How many of you have dropped $80,000 and gone up and stood against the beast of the political machine to do something for your fellow man? Please tell me, how many of you went home and took money from the government while you sat home and believed the government was right? How many of you did everything the government told you out of fear and then want to sit here and tell me you think the government's going to give you money and save your ass again? They didn't save your ass ever before. They're not going to save your ass now. I did what I had to do to protect my family, my employees' families, and everything around me, including my customers that would have been screwed. I did that. And then after they fucked with me a little further, I went and ran for the most powerful position in Texas. And you know what I got told? I got told, why would you do that? You don't stand a chance. And I said, because it's not, we're sitting on the sidelines and bitching. Either stand up for your people and do it, or else don't. And Denise, it doesn't matter if other people don't have 80,000. I had to file bankruptcy in 2009. I had nothing for me except my house, and I worked my way back to that money. And I built families and businesses, and I paid people well above the average. My lowest employee makes $17 an hour starting out, and y'all want $15 minimum wage. I take care of my people, and I take care of their families to my own detriment sometimes. I care about the people around me. I care about the community around me, and I've done everything I can. I care about my state. If people spent more time caring about what's around them instead of asking for somebody else to give them something, regardless of reparations or not, people are always asking somebody else to do something for them. I don't need you to do anything for me. I don't want anybody to do anything for me, because let's take this as a non-color thing. As a man, I don't want anybody to give me shit. I don't want anybody to be able to hold something over my head and say, I gave it to you, you owe me. So you know what? I don't want reparations for anybody. I didn't want it for my government. So when you all sit up here and talk about nobody said anything about the federal government and they're blowing money, you know how much we've been sitting around talking about the federal government wasting our money, giving it to Ukraine, giving it to illegal immigrants, and giving it. That's all we've been talking about on the conservative side for the last 20 fucking years. All we've talked about is how every bit of our hard-earned money has gone to the wrong people. What are y'all talking about? We don't talk about. all this shit, the Pentagon abusing money. We've been saying it the whole damn time. I don't want my hard-earned tax dollars and your hard-earned tax dollars going to the wrong people. I want it going to the people and the Americans that deserve the money. I want the $30 trillion gone. Fuck who it's owed to. I want it gone. And I want Americans taken care of before any other person in this nation. Americans. I don't want the massive illegal immigration. I don't want the massive legal immigration. I'm tired of other people getting our hard-earned money. And that goes for everybody. So don't get up here and call us out for what we've done unless you can at least have the respect of doing anywhere near what Reverend Tim and myself have even tried to do. You don't know my goals. You don't know his goals. But I'll tell you what, if your idea of fixing a problem is coming in this space, listening to everybody vent their grievances, and then calling out names and talking shit, then you ain't learning and you're not helping anything. And I don't need your help. You think you can do it better than us? Go do it better than us. But everybody thinks they're going to do it better than somebody else, and they haven't done it either. So you can come back next week when we're in another space. I haven't decided the title. But until you've done the work that you preaching about other people doing for you, don't sit in here and judge. Because you don't have any right to judge anybody any more than I have a right to judge you. So all I'm saying is stop with the hate, stop with the division, come with an honest heart, and let's find a way to fix this problem. Let's help the people that need it the most. And that ain't the people at the top. It's the people down in the middle class and the lower class that need the love and they need the assistance and they need the church and they need the community. And that's everything they took from us during COVID. They split us up, divided us further, and now you're playing into their game further. So thumb me down all you want. Don't care. Anyway, on that note, Tim, you want to say anything else before we go?
Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron, can I just get a couple minutes? Just a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Here.
I got you. Go ahead.
Actually, Rev, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sorry about that, sir. The only thing I do want to say, folks, is we're going to continue to have these conversations, right? We actually had good numbers and stuff. And yes, I won't speak for the other guys, but we're getting heat from everybody. It doesn't matter the race, whatever. But with that said, what I'm hoping is you will also come back when we have the discussion about the trans movement. I hope you will come back when we have the discussion about immigration. I hope you will come back when we have the discussion about Second Amendment rights for everyone. And we will have it on the economy. I hope you will come back when we have the discussion about CBDC, central bank digital coin, that in the long run is going to put us all in some form of slavery. So please bring the same energy that we had tonight with all these other discussions. If you choose not to come in, then that means you don't care about those issues either.
I guess that was his ending point.
But the only male Cruz, I want to give her an opportunity because she had said a few things about the room and the way we ran it, and I just want to ask her what she would have done different.
Okay, Reverend Tim, thanks. And whoever let me up, thanks again. And
I did.
I appreciate it. And yes, I was critical of this room. But I stated my criticism when I first came on the stage. The issue of Black Americans and the challenges that we have presently and from the beginning of our enslavement is not something that you can commingle with the other issues that surround it and intersect it. And so it makes it difficult to actually find common ground when you try to commingle the conversation. So I just wanted to state that. I do appreciate the fact that you all attempted it. But if we come back next week and you talk about immigration and you keep it specific to immigration, you're going to make a lot of ground. You're going to cover a lot of ground and you may gain greater understanding. But how disingenuous is it from the space tonight where when we were presenting our position as Black Americans, it had to be commingled with
what the opposition, how they feel, and let's take their perspective into consideration. So I get that you want to be well rounded in the conversation, but please consider, and I hate to say it this way because it makes me feel like I'm begging for you all to, oh please massa, it's giving me that, and I don't appreciate that, and I don't think that's what you guys want it to be, but it's coming off that way. So my point is that if you're going to discuss issues that are persistent in the Black American community, then give at least the respect to have the conversation in and of itself so that we can make some advancements. I appreciate what you said you did, Aaron. You put your ass on the line with $80,000. You sound like you try to do right by your employees, etc. Fine, well and good. But when we're going to talk about Black American issues, have enough respect for us to let us say what we need to say, and for you guys to, instead of doing more talking, do more listening so you can understand the perspective. We don't need it commingled with someone else who claims that they were told they couldn't be friends anymore because they wouldn't apologize because they weren't born white. That's very ridiculous sounding, but maybe there wasn't enough time for that person to fully articulate what she experienced. My point is respect the game. Respect the game. If you want to talk about Black American issues for real, then make it appear as such, just like you guys are going to do on your
Okay.
subsequent spaces.
Okay. Let me say this here. I don't think we opened this space up to say we was only going to talk about Black history or Black people or what Black people wanted or needed. It never, not one place in here did it start off that way. It went that way because of certain things that people were saying. We opened up the space basically to have a conversation about Black people and white people, both, not just one, but because we had so many Black people coming up on the space saying the things that they were saying, it just went that way. Now, if I was sitting in a space and with just white people saying, hey, let's talk about Black people, then I can understand everybody getting all upset and bent out of shape. But because it didn't go the way they wanted it to, now everybody's upset, right? We opened up a door, right? White people sat down here and listened to. I watched them. I watched all the white people down there listening to the things that was being said tonight. And I don't think we really interrupted anybody. We let people say white supremacy back to back to back over and over and over. And we want this and we want that. I open up this space because 99.9% of the time when I go to Black spaces, they're fighting. And if I have to start recording them and started playing them on my live, I will do that. But I wanted a space where people can actually say what they wanted to say, talk the way they wanted to talk. That's what this was about. It wasn't to hurt anybody. It wasn't to piss anybody off. It wasn't to make anybody mad. It wasn't to turn anybody out. None of that stuff. Aaron and I was in a space and something came up. And he and I got together and go, well, let's open up a door. Let's have this uncomfortable, exactly what it is. As we can see, everybody is uncomfortable right now because I've got a guy calling my wife a dog, literally talking about having a space, calling my wife a dog is what he did. And I reported him for that because he was upset because he probably didn't get to talk, number one, and he didn't like the way I did this. So this is what I say to people. Open up a space, invite me to your space, and let's sit down and let's have a talk. I've never been invited to anybody's space. Nobody else has done anything like this. I've not seen a space that has been done like this.
Okay, well,
It's either white people over here or Black people over here.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Well, actually,
but am I
Tim,
right?
actually, you're not right, and no disrespect, but you were in a space that I was in, co-hosting it with William when we were talking about CRT, and we made sure. And yes, the title.
We were talking about
I
CRT.
know, but listen, I just wanna address what you said, and I appreciate you allowing this part right here. The point I'm getting to, Tim, is that when we're talking about a sensitive topic such as this, and we heard alternative commentary about reparations. And at some point, a decision should have been made, because this, to me, this is where the conversation became disingenuous, or at least perceived as such. Because in order to explain why we feel the way we do and why our position is what it is, as well as basing it upon verifiable statistics, empirical evidence, instead the comment, or the commentary, the follow-up was, well, see, I don't believe it's racism. Well, we can't have both of those conversations at the same time. If
Hey,
Yes,
Mel, not to cut you off,
But
my
we
friend,
weren't
but
trying to
hold
have
on.
I
both of
know,
those
that's
conversations
clear.
at the
That's
same time.
clear.
Well, it went that way. But here's my thing. Here's my thing.
Hey, Tim,
So
let me say
what
one
we're
thing. Let me
saying.
say one thing real quick. Tim, I want to say real quick before you do that. To all due respect, Mel, if I wanted to just have a reparations conversation, I could just go into Tariq Nasheed's spaces all the time. If anybody wants to hear the empirical evidence on FBA stuff, there's FBA crowds going on left and right. I don't need to hold an FBA. No one's coming in an FBA meeting with a white guy leading it. It's not happening. We're not talking. That's not where you're going to go. You're going to go to that crowd. So there's plenty of spaces about that. That was not what this was to be. This was to have a general conversation about race and community. There, you want to know about FBA? You want to know about all that? There's places running every day about it. Go
Right.
join
It's
them.
unfortunate that
Why
you're
should I
you're
hold that
automatically
space?
making that assumption that that's what that was, Aaron. And like I said, I appreciate the effort, but it's obvious where you're missing the point. And the fact of the matter is, this is what I say to you. I say kudos to you for making the effort. You get that. But if we're going to be for real, and that's why I said you should have put very uncomfortable, because here's where it gets very uncomfortable.
By the way, it's a very short
I
title. I was only able
No,
to
no,
put
I
that
get it.
in.
I get it. I get it. But my point, Aaron, is, you get 50%, whereas others would get a negative 100, because at least you're attempting. Okay, so you get points for that. But the bottom line is we got to get you and anyone else that would consider the fact that if we bring up Black American issues, we can't have individuals beelining it right to, oh, it's a Tariq Nasheed topic. It's bigger than that. And that's what we need you to understand, so that when we have these conversations, when people get up and explain to you exactly what is, one lady got up here and said she's 56 years old and her grandparents were born into slavery. That's some unpacking that has to happen there, especially for white Americans who feel like reparations is not owed. This lady could have told you what her grandparents lived through. Now, would it have changed your mind? Maybe not. But might you have gained an understanding? Yes. Would that make you say, oh, yeah, reparations? Maybe, maybe not. But if we're going to bring up the topics, let's get into it. If you want real people to show up at your space, if you're really trying to make some headway here. And then when you talk about your $80,000 investment, as a white man, you made an $80,000 investment. There may be some Black men in here right now, or not in here right now, that made $80 and $100,000 investments. But if we're gonna have the conversations, y'all, this is what I'm saying. Can we keep it a whole 100, so that we can all grow from them? And I thank the three of you for allowing me to come up here again. I thank you guys for holding this space. But let's grow together. Let's grow together.
Tim, I'll give you the final word.
I agree. I agree. I agree with what she's saying. But this is a start. Anytime you open a business, the first day you open a business, everything is not going to go correct, right? Everything is not going to go exactly the way you want it to. There's some things that we realized and saw that we needed to work on. There's places that we would like to take the conversation and go further. I would like to talk to Black America about the Second Amendment and their Second Amendment rights and things of that sort. So this is only a start. And hopefully we can go further in this here whole situation. I'm not going to give up on this, but I don't want to go into rooms where Black people are fighting each other, because that's pretty much all we get. I've learned zero from a lot of the things I've been trying to learn about reparations. I got you got six different. I know there are six different groups of black people talking about reparations, correct? And everybody's fighting each other. Because I wanted to get Naheem. I wanted to get Naheem up here because I really wanted him to talk about something tonight. And because there was so many people around, I could not get Naheem in here to have that conversation with him. Hopefully, next time we do this, I can get Naheem on stage and have Naheem talk about some things. But I really wanted to get him in here and have him talk about some things. But hey, like I said before, we're not going to make everybody happy. It's just never going to happen. But I'm happy, Aaron and Michael, with what we did. I pat you two on the back and say thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We're all going to take a little heat from this, but you know what? I'm going to rise up tomorrow. My whole day, I'm going to rise up on my Friday like I do. I'm going to go down and I'm going to fix the breakfast for the morning breakfast for the 22 kids go to school. They get their breakfast like they normally do, and we'll be good to go after that. And that's what's going to make me happy. So I'm good.
Appreciate it, Tim. Mel, I appreciate the feedback. We can talk if you want to talk in private about some other stuff. To everybody that showed up tonight, this is the first time I've hosted a full-on space like this. It wasn't smaller. So I appreciate everybody that came in, whether you liked it or not. Even Lawrence, after being him kind of had it out, have made amends in private chat and talking. So look, we're going to get heated. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. That hurts your feelings. Get over it, man. That's life. You got to hurt your feelings sometimes so you can learn and get somewhere in life. You don't like what I say. I don't like what you got to say. Fine. We're all grown adults. That's how life works.